Another one that I've been wanting to do. We're going to take this Bandit, this red stripe. We're going to compare it to this Katana. This is a Mark II Boss Katana. These are awesome, right? Got my amp selector, so we'll just go back and forth with it. Hell yeah. We got a Boss Katana, 100 watt, and a Peavey Bandit red stripe that is 60 watt. And we're going to test these guys out and see, you know, if the old school can, you know, match up to the new school. The Katana is very sought after. It's super low priced. The Bandits, people still love these things too, and we're just going to go back and forth with them and just see what kind of tones we can get out of them. Let's try it out. So in that clip in the intro, I just basically did the best settings I could find with these, and went ahead and boosted them with my precision drive. So the precision drive is going through my amp selector, and then I can select between the amps. And I just kind of spliced it together just so they kind of go back and forth from each other. So now let's go ahead and mess with these and just see what kind of tones we can get out of them, right? And I'm not going to go through the clean stuff. I don't really feel the need to, and I don't think my viewers really care about that either. So I'll just stick with this stuff. So this is what those settings sound like without the overdrive, okay? That was the Peavey. Here's the Katana. Okay, obviously the Katana is going to have a lot more options than the Peavey ever will. It's just they put a lot of digital stuff into this, and you know, it's just way beyond its time, you know. And I don't even know all the bits and pieces this Katana thing can do, but I know that I can flip some switches and turn it into the brown sound. It's got a lead and a brown, that's pretty metal. And I know there's a variation switch, and I'll go through that, even though I don't like what I heard from it, but maybe it'll sound better through the DAW. I don't know. So let's go ahead and dial in the, let's talk about the tones first, okay? Right now we're on the Boss Katana. Sounds a little fizzy to me. And I am on the brown. I'm on the brown character, or what do they call it? Amp type. We're on the brown, which I think is the EVH stuff. Well, I don't know. Is it the Marshall or the EVH? Because that's, I don't know. But I know the brown sound for being EVH stuff, which is 5153 and all that. And then we got the lead channel, which I guess is the super lead stuff. So, well, let's just go with that. So there's that. And I'll switch over to the lead. Show you that too. I kind of like that one a little better, actually. And yes, I do know that there's an onboard SD1 on this guy, but I don't feel that's really fair to compare that against that, because I want to get the natural tones, you know, take the level that this Peavey can get up to and then kind of match it with the Katana. I think that's kind of a fair way to do it. But also having its own overdrive out here, that way it's the same thing going into the amps. And that was my idea for this. So. It's a little thick. I do got the bass up pretty high. Let's go back with it. Bringing back the mids. That right there is a killer tone for me. I would love that. Let's bring up gain a little bit more, because it sounds like it's just kind of anemic on this channel. I don't know. See, there's where the fizz is coming in. Let's bring that back a little bit. Let's go back over to the Peavey. So this is pretty thick sounding, and I do have the resonance at loose. Tell you what, I'm going to move this camera, but the problem is that you only be able to see the Peavey in this setup. Just kind of a bummer, because all the controls for the Katana are on the top. But let's just go with this, right? Probably needs a little more highs. And I got the T dynamics at around, I don't know, 70% or so, 65. And let's go back to the Katana. There's something about that. It's just that solid state sound. Let's go back over to the Peavey. But let's not get too deep into the Boss Katana, because I know you can use a EQ in that as well. There's an EQ that you can use, and I don't know if it's 7-band, 8-band, or whatever band it is, but obviously you have more tonal options on the Boss Katana. Now, just plug straight into the Peavey, it sounds pretty good. And I'm using vintage mode, which I typically like, because it's just a little more controllable, I guess you can say. Let's go over to the high gain. Let's bring the gain back a little bit. Which, I mean, that sounds pretty sick. Let's go over to back to the Katana. Let's see what we can do to help this. There's a presence here. I'm going to push that up some. Let's push up the mids. I just push up the volume a little bit because I'm looking at the waveform. Looks a little bit smaller than the Peavey. Okay, let's try this. Well, let's go back over to the Peavey one more time. Just to show you guys, so it's on loose right now, so it's got a lot of bass pumping. Let's put it on tight. It actually sounds a little closer to the Katana now. Actually, the Katana sounds a little thicker now. Let's bring the bass back there. Peavey. Let's bring the presence back more. Let's go back to vintage. Bring the gain back up. Okay. And the Katana. All right, they sound pretty similar the way I would like them to be. Let's go ahead and hit on this overdrive. And we're on the Katana right now. So I'm gonna move this back because we're done kind of dialing that in. Now that we got the precision drive on the Katana, it sounds like I need a little more bass. I mean, the whole idea of doing this stuff is getting a feel for the guitar that makes you inspired to make some cool riffs, right? And that's what I always go for, is like if it hits that spot where it's like, okay, that's the G spot. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's the Boss Katana. Here's the Peavey again. I'm gonna push the low end. I could either do that or put it on loose and then drop the low end. Boss Katana. Okay, so Boss Katana's punching now. Let's go ahead and hit the loose and then bring the low back. Boss Katana. Yeah, Boss Katana has like a little presence to it now that just kind of cuts through good. So we'll go over to the high gain on the Peavey. Okay, here's the Peavey. Cutting the mids a little bit. Katana. Yeah, there's some kind of mid weird sound that I'm hearing from the Katana. And going to the EQ, I could probably fix it. Going back over to the Peavey Bandit. Presence. Let's mess with this T dynamics. Let's go all the way up with it. Okay, let's cut it to 50%. Okay, a little more highs. Nope. Maybe some more mids. Go back to the Katana. Let's bring the mids to noon. Back to the Peavey. Back to vintage, boost up the gain. See, that sounds darker. Bring up the highs. Ah. Okay, I like that. That's probably the good spot for me. And just go back and compare it to the Katana again. If you guys notice, I have not gone to the modern mode on the Peavey because it sucks. There's no way in hell that I would use that for anything. But I do like the high gain in the vintage mode. And the Katana right now just sounds a little more present, to tell you the truth. Katana. Katana again. I'll go over to the brown. See what that sounds like. It just sounds scooped compared to the lead. Alright, tell you what, I'll go through the variation. The variation button, here's the variation for the lead. And here's the variation for the brown. Who in their right mind would use that? I mean, I'm sure you can EQ it drastically to make it sound good, but that's why I don't touch it. Let's even go to the crunch. Oh, this is still on. So let's turn the overdrive off. Obviously the overdrive is going to cut that bass. And the Bandit without the overdrive. Let's see what kind of crunch we can get out of it. Okay, Katana. Sounds like the Katana just has this like extra bit of top end bite. It's just that modern sound, you know? That's the Peavey. Katana again. Let's see if we can get that bite with the Peavey. And Katana. Peavey. Brought the mids in. That's the Katana, this is the Peavey. Well, there you go. Thought I'd go through these two because I thought it'd be pretty cool to see what these sound like back to back. And I do lean towards the Katana just because of all the options that it has. And you can add a lot to it. Tell you what, I'll do one last thing. I'll turn the overdrive on the Boss Katana, but use the overdrive on the Peavey just to see what that sounds like. So let's go back. Let's go to high gain, right? So that's a high gain there. Let's go over to the Katana. Let's go to the lead there because I like the lead. All right, this is with the boost on. All right, so it'll cut some of the bass. And I just turn it up just a tad, you know, just enough to turn it on and do something about it. So let's go over to the Peavey, turn the boost on there. All right, let's go back to the Boss Katana without the overdrive. Sounds a little bit smoother. And Peavey with overdrive. Cut some presence. Bringing the T dynamics to 3 o'clock. Okay, and Boss Katana one more time. See, it just has that metal clank to it, man. And Peavey one more time. Man, that's tough. I do think that the Peavey Bandit will come through the mix a little bit better. And I'd be curious to see what it's like live. But the Boss Katana pumps power, man. My guitar player in the band that I play drums for, it definitely stands up to a tube amp. And I was very surprised by it. And it's a killer amp for sure. For something that you need to get by and play metal and need the volume and stuff, this thing can do it. You get the right cab at 4 ohms, or no, it has to be 8 ohms, but it pushes power. But anyways, what do you guys think about it? It's kind of hard for me to tell from this angle which one I like better, but I'll go back to, and you know, while I edit it, I'll be like, well, I like this one better because of this, that, and the other. But I thought I'd go through those and show you guys. I'm curious to see what this sounds like myself too through the DAW. All right, like and subscribe. DMD out.